everyone, I'm Keen47, aka Wolfkeen, and welcome to a special edition of Wolfkeen's Thoughts. The reason why today is a special edition of Wolfkeen's Thoughts is because this is my first Patreon reward request. So basically, my Patreon, Zachary, he requested me to do a Wolfkeen's Thoughts on the Dragon Ball Z games. And I told him I could do this because I have played a good chunk of the Dragon Ball Z games. So I'm going to give my opinion on the Dragon Ball Z games that I have currently played, and honestly, if I might pick the series up again. So let's get into it. Now, first things first, am I a fan of Dragon Ball Z? Oh yeah, I am a big fan of Dragon Ball Z. I watched the entire series back when it was on Cartoon Network, you know, when it first aired on there. I even watched a lot of the Japanese movies and stuff like that back on VHS, and I even have the entire Dragon Ball collection and a bunch of the Dragon Ball Z movies thanks to my friend Zachary, who's my patron. So basically, I love Dragon Ball Z. It is one of my favorite series and one of the few series I got to watch with my family because my mom, my sister, and otherwise liked it. But I digress. So let's get into the games themselves. How many of the Dragon Ball Z games have I played? Quite a bit if you ask me. And honestly, they're all pretty interesting. The first one, of course, I played was, well, of course, Dragon Ball Z Budokai, which, I'm going to say this right now, Budokai definitely is an interesting game because, one, they tried to stay to the style of the show with the art style, and they even tried to give us an interesting story mode while playing the game. Because what the game decides to do is that it decides to cover the Saiyan Saga, and I believe the Cell Saga, if I'm not mistaken. I could be completely wrong. I haven't played Budokai 1 in a while. No, I think it goes from Saiyan to the Android Saga, if I'm not mistaken, but someone could leave a comment down below. I only played, I never played Budokai, I haven't played Budokai in a while. I actually own it right there. But, it's interesting that Budokai decided to have, like, a cut-up story mode, kind of like Dragon Ball Z Kai. You know how Dragon Ball Z Kai gets rid of a lot of the filler and stuff like that, so we can get straight through the story? That's what Budokai did, and honestly, I could see where they were going for with it. And not to mention, Budokai had some pretty fluent and interesting controls behind it, doing combos to go into certain moves and other stuff like that, and like I said, the aforementioned story mode. Not to mention, it had a healthy cast of characters, and they all played different for some areas, not all, because most of them just felt like, I'll say this with the Budokai games, and this is going for all of them, none of them really felt too different from each other. They all felt like they fought the same way. The only difference was the special moves in most aspects. And the problem is with the Budokai games is that there really wasn't as much strategy as the later Dragon Ball Z games, as you would think. Because later Dragon Ball Z games, like the Tenkaichi series, and even Burst Limit, there is a little bit more strategy involved in the games, and there's actually a lot more moves that you could pull off, like the Naruto games. Like, you know how like the Naruto games, you could do different evasive moves and stuff like that. The earlier Dragon Ball Z games, especially Budokai, did not really have too many evasive moves. It mainly had blocks and stuff like that. But that's understandable considering that it was the first of its kind. And I only played Budokai 1 and Budokai 3. No, not 3, 2. I only played 2. I never played 3, which was unfortunate. And I know people are about to say, oh god, you played Budokai 2? Yeah, I played it with a friend. Me and my friend would play the story mode together, and yeah, it was done with this weird board system where you moved pieces to certain areas and then you fight certain enemies. But me and my friend found an appeal out of it because, you know, I would play as certain characters and he would play as certain characters, which was fun. Now moving on to the Tenkaichi series, I never played any of the earlier Tenkaichi games. I only played Tenkaichi 3 on the PS2. And my god, do I love that game. That was a great party game, if you ask me. I mean, if you had friends and you played this game with all your friends, this was like the life of the party. There were so many characters in the Tenkaichi games, especially 3, that it was amazing. I mean, I always played as Bardock because he was my favorite character and still is one of my favorite characters. And the weirdest one is that I used to play as Scouter Vegeta. Now, the one thing I do like about Tenkaichi is, like I said, they also had the story mode, and they also had, like I said, a lot of characters, and they even added a lot more modes. One thing I forgot to mention for Budokai is that they actually put in the Grandmaster Tournament mode in Budokai 1. So they've kept that throughout all of the Dragon Ball Z games, to my knowledge. However, throughout the Dragon Ball Z games, they've been refining them, the Grandmaster Tournament. Like, for instance, in Budokai, if you get knocked out of the ring, you're out. But in the later Dragon Ball Z games, I remember that you can actually float over the ring and even outside of the ring, but if you touch any portion of the floor or the walls or anything, you lost. And this is actually true because as shown in the anime when it was Goten versus Trunks, Goten actually got knocked all the way to the audience, and as he tried to stop, he touched the stage, which is considered an out. And that's what they decided to do with the later Dragon Ball Z games, where you can fly around, you know, the arena, but if you touch any portion of the arena that's not the ring, out. You're done. And I like that. I did like that they did that because it gave you a little bit more freedom to mess around with and made matches a little bit more challenging rather than just spam the, you know, charge move until they fall out the ring, which was a very annoying thing. I never played any of the PS3 Dragon Ball Z games, unfortunately, because I backed off from the series after 2010, so I never played Raging Blast, I never played Burst Limit, I haven't played Xenoverse, and I haven't played Battle of Gods, I believe? I don't remember, but you get what I'm trying to say. I have never played the PS3 games. So let's backpedal a little bit and talk about some of the other Dragon Ball Z games I played. So I did play the Budokai series up to about 2, and I only played Tenkaichi 3. I also did play Dragon Ball Z Legacy of Goku on the Game Boy Advance, and... oh! That was a horrible game. The reason why I say it's a horrible game is because of one simple fact. The enemies are way, and I repeat, way too tough! They're just ridiculous! I mean, you're playing as this Super Saiyan Goku, and you can die to a wolf! Am I playing as Goku? Or am I playing as freaking Bulma dressed up as Goku? Sorry for putting that image in your head. But what I'm trying to say is that the Legacy of Goku game, the first one at least, because I never played the second, was bad. I mean, I would not play it. It's not worth your time or effort. Then you also have Dragon Ball Z Sagas, which I played on the GameCube. And I'll give it this. It's a little bit more open-ended than the normal Dragon Ball Z fighting games. And it has an interesting adventure mode. But a lot of the mechanics and battles, they're just not as intuitive as the fighting games. They tried to make it more open-ended and allow you to move freely around the area to, you know, actually fight. But it just feels like that most of the battles are too slow in many areas. And a lot of things that you should be able to do, you can't do. Like, there's a token right above your head, and you can't even fly up to get that token. It's like your flight can only be limited to about like this, and it's like, what? I get they were trying to do that to try to limit the character from going too far away with the flying and stuff like that, but that just made no sense. Granted, the game is good with friends because it is a co-op game, which is a fun thing. But then again, you could say that with any game. Any game is fun with friends. Hell, Resident Evil Operation Raccoon City is good with friends. Hell, Resident Evil 6 is better with friends. So if you ask me, Sagas is an interesting co-op game, but by yourself, it's just kind of boring and can get really, really repetitive. Last thing I'm going to talk about, and this isn't a Dragon Ball Z game, but it's a Dragon Ball game, which is the Dragon Ball game on the DS. And I'm pretty sure a couple of people heard about this game. What they decided to do was make a Dragon Ball game on the DS where you follow Goku's adventure going from, you know, when he met Bulma, collecting the Dragon Balls, and then participating in the Grandmaster Tournament, and then, you know, participating in the World Martial Arts Tournament. And, you know, it was interesting because it decided to do this, you know those cameras that are not top-down, but instead, like, angled like a top-down? I forgot what those are called. 2.5D or something like that, cameras or something. I don't remember, but they decided to go for that kind of a style, and they do have an interesting way you play. You use the touchscreen to move Goku around, and you also use the touchscreen to do combat. But you can also do the touchscreen to do charge moves, use the power pole, the Kamehameha, and other stuff like that, which was a fun thing for the Dragon Ball game. Not to mention there were plenty of different moves you can learn, abilities you can learn, and most of the battles were very intuitive. And one thing I'll give Dragon Ball is that it had an interesting story mode. Not only because of the levels that you went through, but because it also had a couple of what if scenarios, and also bonus scenarios. And I'll definitely say this, it's the one and only game that I know of that doesn't make Bulma to be useless, because she's actually useful in combat, which is shocking. Beyond that, I haven't really played too many other Dragon Ball Z games, unfortunately, and that's because I kind of dropped the series after 2010, like I said. But I've been hearing about Dragon Ball Z's Xenoverse, and I might pick that up. I might pick up Xenoverse because my friend Zachary has it, and I feel like picking it up and giving Dragon Ball Z another shot, see what I've been missing over the years, and hey, if I like it, maybe I'll get back into it. So what do you think about my thoughts on the Dragon Ball Z games? Go ahead and leave a comment down below, and we'll go ahead and discuss it in the comments. Thanks again for Zachary for giving me the request to do this, and thanks again for supporting me on Patreon. And if you would like to support me on Patreon, head to my channel and you'll have a link right there. And hey, you can even request me to do videos like this as well. So until next time, guys, I'm Keen47, aka Wolfkeen. Hope you enjoyed, and until next time, guys, take care.